Hey guys, what's going on? My name is RENEKTON and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. We're gonna be continuing on with spoiler season. We got our first champ of the upcoming set to look at. We have everyone's favorite crocodile. Maybe he's an alligator. I'm pretty sure he's a crocodile. We got RENEKTON. And he's a very big boy. He's a big boy, he's got some meat on him, and he has some other cool cards along with him to look at. So, let's take a look at him. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. We got RENEKTON, we got a lot of cards, and we also have our first Ascended too, which is RENEKTON himself, and our first level 3 champion. So, let's start with the big crocodile daddy here. Let's start with RENEKTON. RENEKTON is a 4 mana 4/4 Overwhelm that says, when I challenge an enemy, give me +2/+1 this round. He doesn't normally have Challenger, so you'll have to take that into consideration. And to level up RENEKTON, he has to have dealt 12 damage. First off, all of his 3 forms are fairly different from each other. So that's something to take into consideration. His level 1 and 2 forms aren't that different, but they're a little bit different. Now, leveled up RENEKTON, level 2 RENEKTON, I guess I should now designate that when I'm talking about leveled up champions. I should mention level 2 or whatever. Level 2 RENEKTON is a 4 mana 5/5 with Overwhelm that when he attacks, he gets +3/+3 for the round. And then to level up again, you must restore the Sun Disk. Very much like Shyvana in this case, from level 1 and 2. Now, level 3 RENEKTON is a 4 mana 10/10 with Overwhelm. And he has a skill that when he blocks or attacks, he deals 2 to enemies and the enemy nexus, kind of like a Gangplank, a leveled up Gangplank on steroids. He's pretty strong. Now, I've seen a lot of people being all wowed and stuff because they're like, wow, that's so good. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. You have to realize this. Let's look at level 1 RENEKTON. Let's start there. Just to level him up from level 1 to level 2 is a lot of work. If RENEKTON attacks in and deals 12 damage to level up to level 2, you're probably in a good spot. If a 4 mana 4/4 with Overwhelm somehow deals 12 damage and doesn't die, you're probably in a winning position. Now, I'm not going to say you are winning, but you're in a good position. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I think the card's bad. I think the card is pretty solid. He's a 4 mana 4/4 with Overwhelm. That's fairly okay stats for his cost if you look at him in a vacuum. And it's not crazy hard to level him up. I feel like it's going to come down to, especially if you're a mono Shurima deck, because you probably want to play the Sun Disk if you're a RENEKTON player or RENEKTON deck. Now, granted, of course, you can always play the Sun Disk without playing mono Shurima, but again, you probably want to play mono Shurima if you're playing a RENEKTON or a Sun Disk build anyway. And of course, you can always play RENEKTON without the Sun Disk if you want to play a different region and not play the Sun Disk at all and just ignore his level 3 form. I don't know if that's a good idea because his level 3 form is so nuts. So, I don't know. I have no idea, like, if I were to rate this card, I honestly would probably just give it a 4 out of 5. The card's good, it's a solid beater, he attacks in, thanks to support cards that give vulnerable or challenge or whatever, he's probably decent, and you probably have enough combat tricks that this guy is going to level 2. So I think it's decent. I do like that his level 3 form is pretty much game over. It's not 100% game over when he's level 2. He still dies to like a vengeance or whatever, but he's really strong when he levels up. Just to attack or block with a level 3 RENEKTON is probably game winning against most decks. And I like that because you're hurting your deck by playing Sun Disk. Sun Disk is kind of a mediocre card, don't get me wrong. When you restore the Sun Disk, you get the whole draw and stuff, etc., and there's some Sun Disk synergy, but it's still one taking up spots in your deck, taking up a spot on the field, And the big one is it's vulnerable to landmark removal. Sure, landmark removal is not amazing outside of, say, like Scorched Earth and I guess Aftershock, but we're starting to see more and more get played, such as Homecoming, and Homecoming would reset the countdown, which would be a problem. And also, we haven't even seen Shurima's landmark interaction. Maybe Shurima will have good landmark interaction. Next up, Dominance Destruction. Not much to talk about with that. That's just a skill, so we can skip that. But after that, we have the champion spell for our favorite crocodile boy. We have Renekton's Ruthless Predator. It is a 2-mana burst spell. Very nice. Love burst spells. Give an ally +2/+0 and an enemy vulnerable this round. So there's a little bit of synergy there with the champion and the champ spell as usual. Very nice. You're going to need these kind of spells for Renekton so he can actually challenge, so he can get good combat phases, good trades. It should give him his level 1 ability of +2/+1 when he challenges an enemy because of how vulnerable is pretty much kind of like pseudo challenger, so it counts. So nice champion spell, very cheap, very versatile, kind of exactly what you're looking for in a challenger spell. Fairly strong, good, cheap, and relatively high impact. Also, you can use it as like a pseudo. It is definitely a combat trick as well, because you can play it in combat to have something trade up for something bigger, if that makes sense. Sure, you're 2-for-1ing yourself, but sometimes you got to do it, right? Next up, not a big impressive card here. We got Bloodthirsty Marauder, just a 1-mana 3/1. That's it. People are already, when we first saw this card, people were already making the comparison to Legion Rearguard, the 1-mana 3/1 from Noxus that can't block. They were like, this is strictly better Legion Rearguard. Yes, don't get me wrong, it is, but again, it's when you compare things between regions, you have to remember different regions do different things better. But Noxus is kind of the aggro region, so it does feel weird that their 1-drop in Shurima is a little bit better than the aggro 1-drop of Noxus. And if you didn't know, Legion Rearguard used to be a 1-mana 3/2 until it got nerfed because of Burn. So I like this card though. I really like it. A good 1-drop and good 2-drops are kind of key for all decks, even if they are not an aggressive or even a mid-range deck, aggro deck, or control decks like good 1 and 2-drops just to fight for the board. Think like Hapless Aristocrat or Eye of the Dragon, or even House Spider is decent too for more control-y decks, just to fight for the board. Bloodthirsty Marauder, though, it's not really a control-y card. You're going to play this in as a more aggro slash mid-range card just to get on the board and start the beats. And it's nice too, because it can block. Now, granted, of course, the 1 health is a problem, but for a 1-drop, 1 health isn't that bad. Sure. Withering Wail, Go Hard, Vile Feast are all annoying, but it's a 1-drop, so what more can you look for? Would you rather have it be a 2/2 like Cithria, I guess? Maybe, sure. But it's still nice. Next up, we got Bakai Sand Spinner. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'll have to look it up. 4 mana, 5/3. Play the card, grant an enemy -1/-0, and vulnerable. This is permanent, so that's really nice. Little expensive, I will admit. You are spending a lot of mana here for this card, but it is not that bad. Very, very attack heavy, very mediocre health, very high power, whatever you want to call it. And 3 health is kind of bad for a 4-drop. Sure, Grasp of the Undying is not that heavily played, but other cards are played like Thermogenic Beam. I mean, sure, Thermogenic Beam can hit this even if it had higher health, but Get Excited, Gotcha. There's probably other stuff, and then it can just trade down too. Like your 2-drop might be able to trade with this Sand Spinner. Like there are a lot of 2-mana 3/2s that get played. Even the 1-drop, just we don't even have to go out of this page. We can just look at the Bloodthirsty Marauder. That can trade with the Sand Spinner as well. So you are definitely playing this for the ability, for the summon ability. So is it worth it? I can't remember the name of the card, but the 2-mana 2/3 from Bilgewater that when you summon, it gives the, I want to say the strongest or the weakest enemy vulnerable? I can't remember if it's strongest or weakest. I haven't played the card in a while. That card is playable. And this, compared to that card, this card, sure, it's more expensive, and that's a little bad, but you are getting a bigger body, sure, for +3/+0 for an extra 2 mana. But you're also getting to choose what you give vulnerable to. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion. If there's a problematic card, like maybe your opponent's playing, like, I don't know, Prankster Burn, and there's a Phantom Prankster on the board, you want to kill it. This will let you target it. Maybe there's some elusives on the board, need to get rid of them, like there's an Ezreal or whatever. You can target the Ezreal. That's why I think this card will be played at the very least as a Tua for pseudo removal, which is nice. And it helps out Renekton too, so that's pretty great too. Next card up. I think this is the worst of the pile of cards we got here. We got Raz Bloodmane, 7 mana, 6/6 with Fearsome. Attack, give enemies -2/-0 this round. I don't know. Whenever I look at cards that cost 6 and above for units specifically, and spells, just cards in general, really, I guess, they need to do something very big and very flashy for me, and very, like, not specifically game ending, but they need very big, high impact plays. This is not it. Now, granted, there is some synergy that Raz Bloodmane has. Like, yes, I could see this maybe in Fearsome aggro as a top end finisher, but why not just play, is it Arachnoid Sentry? No, Arachnoid Sentry is the stun spider. The spider, the 3 mana 3/2 spider that gives all enemies -1/-0 when you summon it. Just play that card. It's much cheaper and it has a similar effect compared to this card, which is 7 mana, which might break your hand because you're definitely playing this kind of card in an aggro deck, specifically Fearsome aggro. Maybe there will be a Shurima aggro deck though, but I don't think there will be. And Shadow Isles aggro doesn't really want to play too many non-Shadow Isles cards because they want to play the 4 mana 4/3, the Wraith Caller, I believe it's called. Could be Mistcaller, but I'm pretty sure it's Wraith Caller. So I don't really see this deck being played until it gets more support, but it's a fairly okay card. Not amazing though. I really just don't think it's constructed playable. 7 mana card doesn't really do much when you summon it. If your opponent's playing like Ruination or Vengeance, they can just kill this. It has to attack, so even outside of Shadow Isles control, Noxus decks and other decks can just stun the card to slow it down. You could silence it as well for the turn with like maybe a Hush so the attack doesn't go off. And then you pretty much spend your turn summoning a 7 mana 6/6. And also another bad thing, and this is true of every expensive card, it could break your hand. It could come in around turn 1, turn 2. And as an aggro deck, you really don't want to draw these kind of cards early. Even though aggro decks sometimes play big late game cards like Harrowing or Captain Farron, it still feels bad to play or to draw them early. Now, next up, though, we got one of the best cards here, I think. We got Exhaust. Also, we can talk about the new spell speed. We have Focus. It's not new, it's just a new term, a new keyword. Focus spell speed is gem spell speed. Specifically, it is burst spell speed, but you cannot play it in response to a spell or skill, and you cannot play it during combat. So, again, like I said, it's literally just the spell speed gem uses. So I assume in the future when Shurima comes out, they'll probably put focus onto all the gems. I like this. It's nice. It helps save room on the cards, so you can add more text to future cards. I'm always a big fan of more keywords to save space, so we don't get huge, huge novels on cards like Yu-Gi-Oh does. Which, good lord, those cards are got to sit down and get a nice, relaxing reading session for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Anyway, though, I'm rambling now. Exhaust is a 1 mana focus speed spell. I like focus speed. I played a lot of gems. I like how they work. Give an enemy -2/-0 and vulnerable this round. This card is nuts, in my opinion. It's not very splashy and it's not high impact, but it's a 1 mana card. What do you expect from a 1 mana card? This is like about as good as I'd say a 1 mana card can get without being super broken. And honestly, I even think this might even get nerfed in the future. That's how good and high up I am on this card. Sure, you cannot cast it in response or during combat, so you can't really use it as a combat trick, but it is like a 1 mana removal spell. Sure, if your opponent has a way to keep whatever you're giving vulnerable to alive for the round, you kind of just wasted the card, but you didn't really waste it because you're still trading this 1 mana pseudo combat trick for whatever they're using to keep it safe, whether it's a concussive palm, maybe it's a bastion or whatever. And plus, of course, I don't think I need to mention it, but I will. The synergy with Renekton is huge, of course. So great card, probably the card I would say is the best on this page right here, and probably even the best of the Shurima cards we've seen. The next card though has a very strong case for also being the best card we've seen. It's Quicksand. Quicksand is a 3 mana burst spell or burst speed spell that says give an enemy -4/-0 and disable its keywords, excluding any negative keywords this round. This is not Hush. It does a very good impersonation of Hush, don't get me wrong, but it's not Hush. It's weaker than Hush, but Hush is a really good and powerful card. So I'm not saying this card is bad. This card is insanely good, don't get me wrong. So compared to Hush, this is almost Hush, except it doesn't really get rid of, first off, keywords, or sorry, text. So the card's text is still on there. And it doesn't get rid of buffs. So a good example, I'd say, is They Who Endure. With Hush, They Who Endure gets reset back to a 1/1 for the turn, of course. Quicksand isn't gonna bring They Who Endure's stat line all the way back down. Sure, it'll shrink it a little bit thanks to the -4/-0, but it's a They Who Endure. It's usually like a 15/15 or whatever. So they can still, in theory, play an atrocity. Now, granted, Endure Tempo, Endure Midrange, whatever you want to call it, is not popular, and I haven't seen it in forever. I'm just using it as an example. Still, though, outside of that, it's a great card. I could see this as a 2 of in most Shurima decks with just how good it is. Another quick thing to note is it hits champions as well because it specifies enemy, not specifically follower or anything. So unlike Purify, we got that going for us. So that's nice too. So you can hit I don't know, quick attack champions like a leveled up Aphelios, maybe a Yasuo, maybe what else? Katarina. So that's nice. So also elusive champions like Ezreal. I guess Draven's also got quick attack, of course, as well. So it's still a good card. You'll probably play 2 of them, maybe 3, depending on how mediocre the removal is in Shurima. It's one of the reasons why Hush is so played is that Targon's removal is a little lackluster, so they try to use Hush to win combats because that's how they kill things usually. And before you say it, yes, I know Sunburst is a thing. Sunburst is a kind of a meh card. It's a 6 mana deal 6. It's not great. Slow speed holds it back. Anyway, though, again, I'm rambling. Let's look at the next card. We got Rite of Dominance. Rite of Dominance, I have no idea how to evaluate this card. 4 mana fast spell, so it's got that going for it. It's got a nice spell speed. Kill an ally or destroy one of your mana gems to give all enemies -2/-0 this round. Got a little bit of a little bit more synergy with fearsome stuff. So maybe you'll play this, like 3 Rite of Dominance, 3 Raz Bloodmane in Shadow Isles mid to use this as a finisher, replace whatever you want in the current Shadow Isles mid you have as a splash, whether it's Ionia for Deny, Targon for Pale Cascade / Hush, PNZ for Iterative Improvement. It's a very expensive spell, though, for that kind of ability. And plus, you have to kill an ally or destroy one of your mana gems, I guess. So in the late game, when you want to cast this as a finisher for fearsome aggro, getting rid of a mana gem is not that bad. Now, here's the question. I don't know how this will work, but I don't know if it will get rid of a mana gem that is empty or it will get rid of a full one. So it, in theory, costs 5. I assume it will get rid of one of the spent mana gems first. Or else this card is bad if it gets rid of a mana gem that's full. No idea. I do like that this is they're playing around with like destroying mana gems to get an advantage. That's a very cool mechanic. Honestly never thought of really. I believe Hearthstone did that a little bit or does that a little bit with Druid, but I think they started doing that when I stopped playing. I know there's like naturalize and stuff, but that's destroy something to force your opponent to draw 2 cards or something. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played Hearthstone. Next card and the final card, Unworthy, has a little bit of synergy with Rite of Dominance too. Unworthy is a 2-mana slow spell. Give an enemy follower -4/-0 this round. If you have fewer mana gems than your opponent, kill it instead. When I first saw this card, I thought it was bad. Because I saw this card first and I didn't see Rite of Dominance, so I was like, oh, this card's only good against ramp. Why would you ever play this card? And then I saw Rite of Dominance and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I still think this card's not good. I honestly think this card is bad. I think this card is bad because, well, one, there's only one way to lower your mana gem count, and that is Rite of Dominance. And two, in the late game, this card's kind of bad. Because, like, in the late game, you're both at 10 mana, whether your opponent's playing ramp or not. So, I don't know. And also, the third reason I think this card is bad is specifically it only hits followers. This cannot hit champions. And then the fourth reason, I know I've got a lot of reasons here. The fourth reason is slow speed. Sure, at fast speed, this card would be a little bit nutty, I guess, but I just am not seeing this card. I know this card is very divisive, I believe. I've seen a lot of people saying like, this card's nuts, it's going to get nerfed so hard, and other people are kind of on my side, which they're just like, I don't really see this card working. I don't think this card is absolute garbage. Like, I think this card's a little bit better than Raz Bloodmane. I really don't think Raz Bloodmane's good. But I just don't see this as a good card. Like, this is no exhaust. This is no quicksand, in my opinion. Still, though, I do think if there is a way, and who knows, there might be. We haven't seen all the cards, so don't get me wrong. If there's a way, more ways specifically, to get rid of your mana gems, other than Rite of Dominance, of course, maybe this card is good. Again, I feel like this card is going to get held back because it's a slow speed spell and because it only hits followers. I guess in a Shurima deck, you'll use your vulnerable cards, your grant enemies vulnerable cards to deal with champions, and this will deal with bigger, more problematic followers. I don't know. And don't get me wrong, it's still a 2-mana -4/-0 for the round, even if you're equal on mana, but at slow speed, that's just meh. Like, whatever. Still, though, very interesting cards. I really like every single card here. Every single card here, I can see sort of a home for it, even for the bad one, which is Raz Bloodmane. I don't think Raz is great, but I can see a home for Raz. And Renekton himself, I mean, I've just gushed over Renekton so much. I think Renekton's great. Definitely not my style and not the archetype I like to play. I like to play control, and this guy is definitely not a control card. He's more of a aggro, tempo, mid-range, whatever you want to put it in kind of card. But he still looks really fun. Maybe, I don't know, Freljord, Shurima, Overwhelm will be kind of a thing you can try. I don't know, maybe? Who knows? Anyway, though, that's going to be it for today's video about looking at the spoilers and looking at Renekton. Hopefully, I don't know who we'll get next. Maybe we'll get Azir next. Actually, we'll probably get, since this is a big expansion, we'll probably get a non-Shurima champion next. We've gotten just Shurima cards, so we might get a non-Shurima champion. Maybe an Ionia champion. Maybe, I don't know. Give me, I don't know, Kindred or something. Give me Pike. Can I have Pike? Give me in Bilgewater. More sea monsters, please. Anyway, though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would love to hear like any ideas you have of building Renekton, because I will probably play this guy a little bit and let me steal your ideas. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. So if you enjoyed it and you have anything you'd like to say, of course, I'd love to hear it below. And I'd love it if you could just leave a comment or a like down below if you enjoyed the video in general. If you guys also want to keep up with the content, of course, you can always subscribe to the channel. And if you guys want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can always go and check me out at Twitch TV. My Twitch TV account is, as always, Twitch TV/Zeneton. I play Runeterra pretty much every single day, almost. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again for watching the video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye!